Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. Let's go ahead and get into this. So today I wanted to talk about why I believe the Giants need to lose out the rest of the season. And I've never really been someone who's been out here saying we need to tank. We need to make sure we lose these games so we can get this pick for any reason. I didn't want to tank for Chase Young. I didn't want to tank for any of these guys. But my thing is this. Right now, we're at a crossroads, and I'll get to this a little bit later. But right now, the Giants have the 5th and 8th pick. Now, again, when the games start, I'm not going to be able to root against the Giants, but I think it's in the team's best interest to make sure they lose these 2 games. Now, I'm not saying obviously the coaches and the players aren't going to go out and try to lose, but I think it's in our best interest if we happen to lose these next 2 games. Again, 5th pick, 8th pick. The 8th pick is the Bears pick. We play the Bears tomorrow. If the Bears win, the Bears will continue to they might have the 8th, 9th, 10th pick maybe, and the Giants will basically keep the 5th pick. We'll either keep the 5th pick or move up to the 4th pick if these other teams that are ahead of us, like the Jets, like the Texans, can lose out some of these games, like Detroit, even though we won't really catch them. But if these lesser teams can lose or win some of these games for the rest of this season, we can actually move up to, I think, maybe like the 3rd overall pick or something like that. But if we go out and beat the Bears tomorrow, we go out and beat the Bears, we beat Washington, we win either one of these games or both, this Giants pick could end up being 8, 9, and the Bears pick can also be in that range. So we're looking at the picks 7 and 8 or 8 and 9 or 8 and 10 or 8 and 11 versus the potential 4th overall pick and a potential 9th overall pick. So I want the highest possible pick. I just want to make sure that we get the highest pick possible because we need that elite player. There is an outside chance that one of these top 2 pass rushers fall, and we need those in the worst way. We could use Aiden Hutchinson. We could use Kayvon Thibodeau. If one of those 2 fall and we're at that 4th or 5th pick, we would be at an outside shot to get one of those 2 players. If we're at 8, 0 chance that's happening. 0 chance, not at all. There's no way that that's happening. The offensive linemen, I think, will fall a little bit, but I don't think they'll be there at 8 and 9 and 10. Like Evan Neal, Ekwonu. A lot of these people, a lot of these names you might not even know yet because the draft process hasn't really started. But the very elite guys who can play tackle, they're probably going to be gone by the time you're picking at 9, you're picking at 11, you're picking at 10. So the Giants need to make sure that they lose these 2 games. We need 2 game-changing offensive linemen, in my opinion. Now, whether that comes through free agency, whether that comes through the draft, we don't have much money. So we're going to need to use these draft picks wisely. Now, sure, you can get good offensive linemen in the 2nd round. Darian Kennard out of, I think I got his name right, Darian Kennard, basically, a right tackle out of Kentucky. He's someone who's really good, and he might be available in the 2nd round, but maybe he'll be a guy that you pick maybe in the 20s. But there are good offensive linemen outside of the top 5. But they are really good, solidified offensive linemen there that we could get with these high picks. Again, Ekwonu and Evan Neal have both played on the interior. So these guys are plug and play in multiple positions on the offensive line. They both have experience at right tackle. They both have experience at both guard spots. So you definitely want to explore maybe using them somewhere. And if you get both of them, you have 3 guys who you think can possibly be future All-Pro, Pro Bowl level tackles on your roster. And, when you have one of those really high-grade tackles that you move to guard that has that flexibility, that usually makes better guards and better pass protection. And the Giants need that in the worst way. Both of them are huge men. They're going to help out in the run game. And you know that magic number. When you get to 3 out of your 5 offensive linemen who are playing at a very high level, Andrew Thomas, Evan Neal, Ekwonu, it changes everything. Also, you got the other freak out of Iowa, Tyler Linderbaum. He's another guy who I think can be a Pro Bowl offensive lineman. That dude is going to play center. We don't know what Nick Gates is going to do. Now, I'm a big fan of Nick Gates, and I really hope that he can play football again. And I hope that he can be the same player, because if not, we don't really have a need at center. But if he can't, because we heard reports that his career might be over, if he can't do that and play at that same level, we're going to need a guy like Linderbaum, who is going to be, I think, a plug and play guy who's a Pro Bowler for years to come. So we can snatch up 2 blue chip offensive linemen in that top 10. And if we take 2 offensive linemen, at least one of them have to be at least decent. So I really want to get that chance to be able to take those 2. Also, maybe we don't go offensive lineman. Maybe we just need to add a playmaker to a horrible team. Kyle Hamilton, yes, we have Xavier McKinney, and Kyle Hamilton, I think he is best used. I think Kyle Hamilton is best used as a deep center fielder safety. And I also think that Xavier McKinney is best used in that spot. But the thing is, both of them actually have that ability to come up, play in the box, blitz, cover tight ends, cover running backs, make hits. So both of them have that flexibility. So we have the potential to be able to build sort of the best safety, 2 Pro Bowl level young safety in the NFL. I think Xavier McKinney should have made the Pro Bowl this year, but I think Kyle Hamilton is a slam dunk pick at safety. And that really takes your safety level to the next level, takes your secondary. It's going to help with the tight ends. It's going to help with the running backs. It's going to help just in general, because you can use both of those guys as extra linebackers. And you have a guy, Logan Ryan, who sometimes is a liability. So that's another way you can go. Another way is Derek Stingley, a guy who's a slam dunking cornerback, can immediately come in and be that solid corner, whether it be beside Dory Jackson or James Bradbury. You can always use corner help because the defense needs a lot of it. And then finally, edge rusher. I talked about the 2, Hutchinson. I talked about Thibodeaux. Karlaftis is there. I'm not sure if he's worth one of those top picks, but you absolutely want to be in that spot to where if someone trades up for a quarterback, if someone, takes someone way too high, you want to be there at that 4th or 5th pick to make sure that you can snatch up one of those pass rushers, because the Giants don't have anybody close to that. Azeez Ojulari, the jury's out. Yes, he has an outside shot of maybe getting 10 sacks in his rookie season, but on a play-to-play and in play-out basis, he's not as effective as one of those 2 I think would be even early on as a rookie. And my last point for why we need to lose these last 2 games is that the organization simply needs to be embarrassed. The fans need to be embarrassed. The organization needs to be embarrassed. We all need a reality check, because we've gotten these Super Bowls recently in the last, decade, 2 decades. There's a cloud that the Giants are just this untouchable first-class franchise. And yes, that may have been true at one point, but right now, no one is worse. Worst record in the league since 2017. Worst record in the league, consistently. So we never are picking number 1. We never picking number 2. We picked number 4. Well, we picked number 2 a while ago, but we're usually never having that number 1 pick. But if you look at the record going back, we're usually the worst team in the league, over the span of 4 years. We're the worst team in the league. So we need to be shown that we are not some middle of the pack team that just needs this to be done, and we can step up and be that competitive team. We are not a year away. We are not going in the right direction. I don't think we have the right coach, not on the offensive coordinator spot with Freddie Kitchens and whatever Joe Judge decides to put there, and definitely not at head coach. I don't think he does a good job of managing the games. People like to say that I'm nitpicking Joe Judge. Every time I criticize Joe Judge, I give specific examples on why I believe that he is not the guy. He misuses challenges sometimes. He uses his timeouts much too early. With the aggressiveness, sometimes he's too aggressive, sometimes he's not. And when I say that, I'm giving specific examples. I'm not blindly criticizing the guy. When he uses these when he goes for it on 4th down, it's literally in bad situation. It's a 4th down in your own territory, or 4th down when the game isn't really in a situation where you need to be going for it. And then he doesn't go for it when you're on the opponent's 42 and it's 4th and 1, or you're on the opponent's 40-yard line or 39-yard line or even 38-yard line, and you have a Pro Bowl kicker, and instead of just kicking the field goal or trying to get 1 yard, you punt it with a horrible punter, by the way, who messes up a ton of punts and ends up having you punt the ball 20 yards. you might as well have just thrown an interception 20 yards down the field. So I don't think we have the right coach there. We already know that the general manager is probably going to go, but we need John Mara to leave this season with a poor taste in his mouth to make him really want to make wholesale changes, to make him really believe and finally understand that the Giants are really legitimately among the worst of the worst teams in the league, probably the worst team. I mean, you look at the Jaguars, you look at the Jets. Those teams are the only ones you can make an argument that they're worse. And both of those teams have much less expectations, much less talented rosters before the beginning of the season. This Giants roster was so naysayers expected the Giants to win 7-8 games this year. Guys who were high on the Giants expected them to be a playoff team this year. So we underachieved in every aspect, and that goes to coaching. I want to make a whole different video about is Gettleman to blame and how much percent of the blame he gets compared to the coaches. Because yes, Gettleman has made a ton of mistakes here, but we've also had very, very poor coaching, very poor player development, and very poor use of players. So I really want John Mara to see exactly what's going on here and want to make as severe as changes as possible. So that's why we need to lose out. Again, it's the best for the team. I'm not going to be able to do it during the games, but it is the best for the team. That's why we need to lose out. I think getting those two, Pro Bowl level offensive linemen in here, getting an edge rusher in here, getting a new voice in here. Not even necessarily a new voice, because I don't think Joe Judge has an issue motivating players. I just think it's an execution problem, discipline problem, and the use of players problem. But getting a different mind in here that is able to adjust to today's game, that we can finally start to put up more than 11, 12 to 17 points a game is what the Giants need. We need a complete reset. So you guys let me know what you're hoping for the rest of this season. Do you want to lose out the rest of the season? Can you actually root for your team to lose? I can't in a vacuum, but I really understand, and I'm not going to be mad if we lose these last two games, especially with Jake Fromm and Mike Glennon in there. I'm not even going to get into Daniel Jones and everything about that. That'll be a little bit later. But you guys let me know what you're thinking for the rest of this season. And if you're already starting to look for the draft, because I'm going to have a lot of draft content coming up soon. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.